Welcome. I'm Barrie-Louise. The Women's Connection is about events shaping women's lives and helping one gain authentic power on a personal, professional level. In this particular show, we're going to talk about gaining authentic power on our bodies. And what I'm talking about is the events that occurred on September 11th, 2001. And with me is Dr.Serafina Corsello. And we're going to, Doctor, thank you for joining me. Before we get into how we can get our bodies back to being whole, so to speak, why don't we talk about a little bit about your background?
Okay, with pleasure. I was born in Italy, almost 68 and a half years ago, and I've spent the best of my life in this country. It will be 40 years next May. So I feel I cannot begin to tell you like all Americans feel right now. But my duty is to help my fellow men and my fellow women, and so I'm going to resort to the strength that I acquired during the Second World War as a child. I became a physician and I came to this country where I received training as a psychiatrist, training that is very useful in times of crisis. In 1972, I added nutritional medicine to my armamentarium, so to speak, because I felt that only talking to people without healing their bodies physiologically was not enough. And as some of you know, I'm one of the leaders in complementary alternative medicine. I had the privilege and honor of being called by the NIH to set the Office of Alternative Medicine with 24 other physicians all over this country. I consider that a privilege.
That is quite an honor.
Yes, an honor that carries with it danger, as some of you are going to find out, because it singles you out to people that are still quite not ready, the power to accept complementary alternative medicine in spite of the overt overture to incorporate us. But nonetheless, I've served my fellow men and women with great pleasure all these years. Those that know me know that I do it with immense pleasure and love. And so I'm now offered to help the city. I'm not alone, fortunately. I have a group of people. All my people, we had a meeting Thursday, and they all volunteer without hesitation. And we call the authority, and we're going to set up a schedule to go there. We have acupuncturists in our staff. We have even a minister, a non-denominational minister, who is a physician of Oriental medicine. We have psychotherapists, of course. We have nutritionists. We have body working people. So we do have spiritual healers. So we do have what it takes to help, and we want to help.
Now, how did you get into alternative medicine?
My grandmother, way back, now that I realize the power of imagery and of imprinting, during the war, she was a trained midwife, and during the war, she became the spiritual leader. Men were not around, and she was an old, wise woman, the spiritual leader of the neighborhood, and the healer. She knew a lot about herbs, and she would counsel people, and she would deliver the children, and she would go to the home and talk to them. All the things that we're now called to do to help our fellow men. I saw her doing it. So when I, in 1972, had a patient who suffered a very sad side effect of a psychotropic medication that I had prescribed, there was no question in my mind. I had to move into a field that encompassed non-toxic medicine. And so I began studying, and here I am. I'm considered one of the leaders now.
Now, what happens to our body and our immune system when we go through a trauma like we've just gone through?
Right. Well, as you know, in the alarm reaction, all sorts of physiological changes that are very hard, they're necessary for survival, like getting more blood in the muscle to run or fight, getting more the blood moving faster, so getting the heart to have a tachycardia, which in itself can be actually mistaken for anxiety. All sorts of things happen, heighten mental acuity and then diminish mental acuity after a while. So the acute reaction of the GAS, the general adaptation syndrome, is really necessary for survival. We saw it on television when these people very promptly run away from the disaster and then they return to help. I mean, it was magnificent, it was heroic. And what happens is that we stabilize, we get into homeostasis, which allows us to balance the physiological response. But if we don't take care of our body, mind, and soul, then we go into the exhaustion phase, where illnesses are rampant. You have seen it, I've seen it, all our friends getting a little bit physically ill in the last few days.
Okay, so what do we do to get our bodies back?
Because the immune system suffers, the adrenals. So there are three organs that need to be worked, aside from the spiritual aspect, which I'm very, a great believer in. Physiologically speaking, the adrenals,
Okay.
the immune system, and the digestive system. Let me start with the digestive system. I talk a lot about this in my book. The digestive system is not only to eliminate toxicity, which is a very important issue right at this moment especially, is also a site of a great part of our immune system. You have read my book, so you now know. It's a very powerful immune center. So keeping the bowel clean and replenishing the good guys, the probiotics, the good bacteria, is extremely important. Eating well, unloading the liver. The liver suffers during stress, actually suffers. So building the livers with vitamins, with liver protective substances like lipoic acid and herbs that help the liver, very important.
How does somebody know how much to take to...
Well, the good thing in this medicine is that in order to reach a toxicity level, you will have to take more than you can ever swallow when it comes to things like this. I mean, if you take 600 milligrams of lipoic acid rather than or 1,000 or 2,000, it's not going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your pocket. So in my book, I give guidelines. What is the lowest, most effective level? And we are giving free service every Tuesday night to people that come to our center. We give grief group, we give instructions what to do on their own. My book is all about what you do on your own too.
I know.
So we can tell people actually what they need if they want to come to our center at 6 o'clock every Tuesday. It's difficult, everybody's different. Somebody who has hepatitis is not going to be able to do 200 milligrams of lipoic acid. We have to do a 600.
Okay, well, let's just say for basic, a basic person.
A good lipoic acid,
Okay.
very good, they can take 200 milligrams a day.
All right.
With a good one. It has to be
And there are
high
no
quality.
side effects?
Not at all.
All right. And what does this do?
We'll clean the liver and we'll
Okay.
stabilize the sugar.
All right. Now, how long does somebody do this for?
Well, as long as we're under stress and as long as we feel grief, we need to protect the bowels and the liver. That in turn will protect the immune system. Let's say for the next few weeks, I have tripled all my nutrients since the tragedy.
Wow.
This is how I've been able to keep myself from getting ill. I mean, but this is what I do for a living. So it's my medicine. So you work on these issues. You work on the immune system. There are many good things in for the immune system. Thymus, estrats are very good.
I'm sorry, what is it?
Thymus, Thy,
Oh,
the
okay.
thymus. So
Right.
the thymus is the 5-star general of the immune system.
Oh, interesting.
But quantitatively speaking, the intestinal immune system is more voluminous and talks to the thymus. And it's cheaper to work on the intestine than taking thymus estrat. So keeping infection down as soon as they appear with golden seal and echinacea. You know that I put together a package that has all these things. Is very
But how much
beneficial.
is, okay, so,
Okay, so preventively, it sounds self-serving, but if you're taking my infection pack, let's say, preventively, 1 pack a day will be sufficient. At the first sign of infection, you take 3 for a few days.
okay, time out. What is in this
In this
packet?
combination, okay, there is, first of all, detoxifying substances.
All right.
And liver protective substances, malic acid, there is magnesium. Magnesium is the mineral that suffers the most during stress. all our people right now, there is a humongous depletion of magnesium. Magnesium participates in so many biochemical reactions, regulating the sugar, allowing us to cope with stress. So it's a vicious cycle. We use it more because we need more. So increasing the magnesium intake is very, very important.
What's a safe level for somebody to take?
Well, if they take a good quality of magnesium, the elemental, you see, when you buy a chelated, they say 1,000 chelated, but it's 100 milligrams. So
Okay.
I personally take 400 of the elemental magnesium glycinate right
Per
now.
day?
Per day.
Okay.
200 before breakfast and 200 before dinner. And then I take my calcium, of course. But that's very important. So working, so it contains also echinacea, golden seal, malic acid, because malic acid binds to toxic substances and helps you eliminate. It contains bromelain, which is an anti-inflammatory and also heals the stomach.
Okay, now how much of these do you take?
And zinc also, zinc lozenges.
All right.
As I said, somebody wants to take it preventively, which right now we all should do, 1 pack a day. There are
Okay, but
7
wait a minute. I
pills.
mean, if they don't have,
Okay.
okay, if they want, if
If
they have
somebody
the
go to
stuff,
the health food store
Right.
and buy separately,
Right.
so they can take 400 milligrams of elemental magnesium and calcium at night, of course.
Okay.
They can take, if they feel, they can take some echinacea drop. You see, there are so many products in the market, wonderful products. If you buy the best, you can't go wrong. You can take 2 dropfuls of liquid echinacea and astragalus, for instance. They're wonderful immune regulating substances. A golden seal also helps with all sorts of infections. And because stress opens the door to infections, I am taking precautions to protect my patients now. They were going to the winter, and this is going to be a long winter. We already see changes in the air, and a winter of sorrow, and we need to laugh. Somebody sent me a joke. I haven't been feeling like laughing, I must confess to you. It's been 2 weeks, and I don't feel like laughing.
Right.
But so somebody, I don't know who, sent me a wonderful, clean joke. And I read it to my group on Tuesday. We were all, sorry. And we all had a good laugh. And it was so therapeutic.
right.
It was so therapeutic. And then we hug each other and we talk about what to do. Eating clean food is very important.
Okay, what is clean food?
Okay. Food, I buy organic, of course, and
Okay.
free range. If you can't afford to buy organic and free range, buy the best vegetables, the best fruit. Do not eat fried food. They're very toxic to the liver. They're full of toxic substances, free radicals. Okay?
Okay.
And you need more antioxidants. So in this time, be courageous. Change your eating habits. Broil, boil, bake. The 3 B's. Don't fry.
They'll fry.
There's a lot
No,
that can be done.
Okay, so
Use
what is
seasoning? Yeah.
What are good foods to eat? I mean, what should somebody stock up on more now
I
than
have stocked up on lentils,
All right.
on beans, dry beans, on rice,
Uh-huh.
on good olive oil. I have 3 bottles of organic flaxseed oil in my Frigidaire, which I add to my salad and my foods and to my friends. Garlic is one of the greatest disinfectant. It's one of the greatest anti-detoxifying natural substance. Lemon. I have lots of lemon in my Frigidaire. There are vitamin C and bioflavonoids in lemon. Make a clean lemonade. Don't buy lemonade. Make it for your children. Add a little stevia, stevia, is a sweetener rather than sugar, because sugar lowers the immune resistance. So
Okay.
use stevia. They have it all over the health food store, my dear. And for the children, add honey, good uncooked honey for your children rather than sugar. If you want to sweeten something, that is the second best. Or rice sweeteners. So there's a lot that we can do. Lots of vegetables, lots of fruit, fresh food, broil, bake, or bake, make risotto. I mean, I made it this weekend. My children came over. We needed to hug and kiss, and I needed to protect them. And I did what I do best. I cooked.
Cook.
And we had a feast, and I invited friends who ran away from New York. They got scared. So I said, come on over. And they came over, they stayed with us. And we had a feast. We had risotto with fungi and with peas. We had with lots of flaxseed oil, with olive oil and garlic. We had broiled organic chicken, and we had a big, humongous salad.
What does flaxseed oil do?
Flaxseed oil is natural fish oil, very similar, not quite the same. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's the earth response to the fish oil.
Oh,
so it's an
interesting.
anti-inflammatory. Less diminishes the coagulation of the blood, because under stress, our blood becomes more prone to coagulate. So there is going to be more strokes if we don't watch out. I am most concerned about people on ground zero. You have no idea. That's why I volunteer my service.
Well, let me ask you something. Talking about people on ground zero,
Yeah.
they're inhaling all the debris.
Exactly.
You walked around the city, you inhale the debris.
To a lesser extent, we all do, yes.
Okay, so I've been walking around with a mask and
Right.
everybody looks at me funny, but I don't care.
Sweetheart, don't care.
It's my health. That's
I
the
wish
way I look
our
at it.
boys in Ground Zero wear charcoal mask. I beg, I send a fax to Mayor Giuliani through a friend of mine. Please mandate charcoal mask. These people are courageous. They don't want to show fear. So unless the city mandates that they wear the charcoal mask, not the little mask, the charcoal,
Right.
they're not going to wear them.
Well,
so
people who aren't wearing them
yes,
and they're getting all this stuff in their lungs,
right.
how do you flush it out?
Okay, but through the liver, because ultimately go through the liver, and there is a wonderful herbs that helps the lungs called lobelia, L-O-B like boy, E-L-I-A. Can go to the health food store or call my center, and they're wonderful herbs for the lungs. They should take magnesium, they should take glycolic acid, they should do bowel cleansing, because everything that goes through the respiratory system ends up in the liver, and from the liver to the intestine. So we can scrub it out.
So and you're
literally.
talking about doing scrubbings from what you're
Yes.
drinking. Okay.
Yes.
And detox yourself.
Exactly. For instance,
Yeah, I was going to say, how long do you keep detoxing yourself?
well, people on ground zero, as long as they are there, for every day that they're being there, they should do 2 days of detox.
Oh,
A
interesting.
minimum of 2 days of detox for every day that I've been there. And as they continue being there. Also, don't forget, these people are overworking, they're working tremendous hours,
Right.
and they are heartbroken. I mean,
Stress.
to find human parts, I mean, come on.
Okay, let's not talk about it. I don't
Okay,
want to talk about
sweetheart,
it.
I know.
But I want to talk about your book, because you
Yes.
wrote The Ageless Woman.
Yes.
Which is an incredible book. I've highlighted, I've underlined, I've torn down, flipped over pages. It's amazing it's still in one piece.
Okay.
How many years do you think that we have aged just from this one episode?
I can tell you one thing, everybody's different. Some people
Okay.
age more. The other day, I looked at myself a week after the tragedy, and I said to one of my associates, oh Lord, I've aged at least 5 years.
Really?
I felt that I'd aged 5 years out of the week of humongous sorrow. Don't forget to reopen the wounds of my childhood that I thought
Oh, right.
had disappeared. I felt horribly frightened for the people that were under the rubble. I prayed every day, 2 or 3 times a day, even more, to give
Well,
strength.
How do you reverse this aging process?
Okay, so exactly. So what I did is I heard myself saying this. I said, oh, I have the tools. So I began taking my super intervention, which I talk in the book, the thymus, more lipoic acid. I began doing protein shakes with fibers. I put more probiotics. I made sure that I slept well. So I took my melatonin, my stabilium, which is a natural Valium, so to speak. So that in spite of everything, I would sleep well. I did more yoga. I pray more. I listen to my classic music intensely and constantly. That's my healer. Everybody has different healers. Those are my healers: yoga, prayers, and music.
Interesting.
Yes, these are my 3 healers. And of course, getting my family together, taking care of my friends. For me, giving service helps me. It's not only helping them, it's helping me. I'm a physician. Doing for others helps me.
Right.
So to me, it's very natural. So I was there the day of the disaster. I called my patients, all the people that counsel. We're trying to reach them. We're trying to console them. And that helped me go through the first and second and third day. It really helped me immensely. I was so preoccupied with them that I didn't have time to worry about myself. It hit me during the weekend And
Oh,
so
interesting.
yes,
When you slow down.
when I slow down my giving,
Right.
then I said, oh my Lord. And on Friday and Saturday, I really hit button. So I began doing all the things to help myself.
Now, what's the difference between biological and chronological
Well,
age?
the chronological age is the one that is written in your birth certificate.
Right.
Now, doesn't have to coincide with how your body is indeed, biologically. You can be 40 and be unfortunately 60 biologically, or you can be 60 and be 40 biologically. And we do biological aging in my center with an impedance test, and we do it for $50, very cheap, because I want to know what my biological age of my patient is. And we have had the shock of our lives. Some of our young people, much older biologically, and some of my old-time, long-standing patients, including myself, are much younger biologically. And that's what really counts. It doesn't matter how old you are chronologically. What matters is how your tissues have aged, or what you can do to reverse the aging process.
Now, in the book, you talk about xenoestrogens. Did I pronounce it right?
You pronounce it very well, and
Okay.
thank you for talking about, because xenoestrogen, foreign toxic estrogens, are what our boys on ground zero are breathing in, have been breathing in. All the plastic, all the computer, the burn, anything that was made from petrochemical, all the plastic, deliver very thick fumes, aside from the particle, of these foreign estrogens. They've been implicated not only in cancer of women, but also prostatic cancer. So I am concerned. This is why I want them to do the bowel, the scrubbing, the lipoic acid. Now, one of the companies, I call everybody to help, and I call Metagenic, and they offer 50 containers of detox powder and 50 bottles of liver detox. So people that will come to our center, and I hope the families of ground zero people come, will be receiving a free care package.
Wow.
And a lecture and an explanation to spread not only among themselves, but the community. I am very much community oriented. I always
That's
was.
fabulous.
This is the nature. I mean, we
You
Italian,
just-
this is the nature of us Italians anyhow. We are family. Family. The family is the neighborhood. The family is the nation now. My nation is in pain. This is my family. So we all have to help each other. It's very important.
What foods would you say reverse the aging process?
All the food that are high in antioxidants.
Which are?
For instance, among the fruits, if you eat grapes, chew on the kernel, on the little seeds.
Oh, really?
The proanthocyanidins, yes,
Oh,
are
that's-
very important. The broccoli, I made beautiful steamed broccoli this weekend, because there is the indole carbinol, trindole carbinol, which is fantastic detoxifier. And I made many heads of broccoli, and I told all my guests, including myself, eat the broccoli with lemon, and it was very good. So the broccoli, the grapes, all the fruits, apples, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It is a very powerful fruit. It has pectins, which are detoxifiers. It has bioflavonoids. It has vitamin C. It has other vitamins. Carrots, but don't juice it. Eat the whole carrot. Try to get, if you can, organic, please, if you can.
Not so hard.
I know, sweetheart. So buy less, buy the best.
Very interesting theory. Buy
Yes.
less, but buy them.
Yes. And rice, also good. For instance, rice is also brown rice with the fiber, and basmati rice. Those are healing foods with the olive oil and the garlic. And of course, all the vegetables are great.
Real quickly, melatonin.
Melatonin, yes.
Okay.
I know.
It's so, you talk about it as far as having a lack of it with DHEA
Right.
and GH,
Right.
which are short terms for all these long medical terms.
Yeah.
But you talk about this one as far as not having enough, it can cause breast cancer.
Accelerated aging, breast cancer. Okay, let's talk about melatonin first.
Okay.
Melatonin is not only used to sleep, which is very
Right.
important when you're traveling. I avoid jet lag completely with this, and all my patients do. And I use the sublingual, so the liver doesn't have to work hard is a hormone from the brain, from the pineal gland.
Okay.
So the liver, especially now, the liver has to be protected. So anything that we can take that doesn't have to be over-processed by the liver on first passage, as we say in medicine, is very important. So melatonin sublingual. I have been taking more now, not only to be able to sleep, but because the xenoestrogen, which we're all breathing and we're all taking in, or might go to the breast and accelerate if there is a latent breast cancer.
Well, can you take too much melatonin?
Oh, sure, you can take too much of anything. But of course, I start my patients with the 3 milligrams. Don't forget, these are menopausal women and some older men also. So I start them on 3 milligrams sublingual. And then I go up slowly. Some of my patients are now taking 12 milligrams to avoid breast cancer as a prevention, because it diminishes the uptake of the bad estrogen on the breast. They're also taking other things that affects like the genistein and dialzin, the soy. Obviously, it's very important also that they upgrade the adrenals. The dihydroepiandrosterone, DHA, is an adrenal hormone that is now being used. When you're under stress, you use, you abuse, and you lose. So I'm sure that if I check all the New Yorkers' DHA today versus 2 weeks ago,
it'd be
much
significantly different.
Significantly less. So it's important, yes.
Doctor, real quickly, in the closing moments of the show, what would you like to leave the audience with?
First of all, let's all love each other like we never loved each other ever before, everybody. Let's begin to have some forgiveness in our heart. Our enemies don't know how evil they are. Let's send prayers. Let's take care of our bodies. Let's do all the things that I've discussed today. Let's do it with joy. Let's begin to have joy, to smile. I'm saying this to myself. Let's begin to smile. Let's begin to laugh. Let's begin to be ready to and determined to help each other. Let's not listen to alarming news, some of which are spread perhaps by our enemies to create panic. New Yorkers have been superb. I've received more compliments from my friend from Europe, I really mean it, about New Yorkers. As I said, we have a completely different view of these people, New Yorkers. Let's continue to be brave, courageous, but let us not ignore that our spirit, our soul resides in the temple of the body. So respect your body as well.
Doctor, thank you so much for joining
My
me.
pleasure.
It's just been wonderful.
My pleasure,
And
sweetheart.
I've got to go get some vitamins here.
I'm going to give you something right now.
Oh, sounds good. And thank you for joining us. I hope you've learned something about how to heal your body. If you'd like some more information, contact me, Barrie at The Woman's Connection. Bye now. It's very interesting.
You